Hi folks, welcome back to the B29 restoration project. Last video, or maybe even this video, depends on how I edit it. Anyways, we got the nose done, the fiberglass one. You can see I have since taken it upstairs and gave it a bath with some warm soapy water and a Scotch-Brite pad. Washed off all of the PVA and then the clay that was on the seams. Like I said in the layup video, there's a little bit of a raised edge here. That'll get sanded off once we get to the bodywork stage. So fiberglass thing is here. I've cut a couple of holes out just so I could see inside of it. It's kind of a frowny face at the moment. It's ready to get finished. And I have since started working on the nose of this thing. As you can see, there's a big chunk missing. After putting that on and doing the overlay with where the nose gear was originally, which is about right here, it looks terrible. It's one of those things where we make the nose look good and now the nose gear is just way out of place and it looks weird. So the nose gear in the current position comes out about this point on the belly. So it's at the very back of the rear window. It should come out about the middle to the forward third of this front window, which means, I mean, that's a big difference. That's one of those differences where if I fixing all of this and then I leave the nose gear back there, it's just going to look weird. So in the process of making it not look weird, which means cutting off a whole lot, which means this whole structure, this here is the forward wall of the nose gear bay, but we'll call it the nose gear box, and it goes pretty far back, almost all the way to the leading edge, because it also makes up the rear equipment bay that's on the belly of the airplane. So since I got to move this forward, and I would like to put, well, we may put a cockpit in this thing at some point, probably not this year, probably not next year, but eventually we might, I don't know. But in order to move it forward, I've got to add a ton of structure here. All of this that was in front of it, now we're talking about from here forward about 16 inches, all of that had to come off anyway because the shape of it just didn't fit the fiberglass nose. So all of that had to come off anyway for the new structure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this box forward, which is about, like I said, 16 inches or so. And then the whole front of the nose is going to come off. So we're going to have a plate pretty much here across the top. It's going to come all the way out. It's going to be a vertical bulkhead here, and then it's going to be kind of a Z shape. So it's going to cut it here, come across, and then go down to the bottom and the whole top forward. Now the nose will come off cockpit and everything. And that will give us all this room down here inside of the fuselage. And there's two reasons why I'd like to do this. One, I hate crawling under things to work on it. It's just absolutely miserable. And two, I can now put all of the equipment, batteries, receivers, power boxes, whatever. I can put all of that stuff up here. It's easy to get to by just taking the nose off of it. And now that equipment bay on the belly is completely empty. And it just so happens that equipment bay is pretty close to where the forward bomb bay on a B29 is. So I'm guessing y'all can probably figure out what the lower equipment bay is going to turn into eventually. So anyways, we've got that done. I've actually already done all the CAD work for the nose structure. I've actually even already cut it all out. Here we have the structure. This is all the nose gear stuff down here. All the structure around the box to extend it. And this goes inside the nose like so. It fits very nicely. And then this will be the actual hatch frame structure for the removable portion of the nose. Currently I'm in the process of just cutting things away from the original nose gear box so I can get the new structure to slide in there, because those the vertical walls are going to slide pretty flush with the original side walls of the plate, and then they'll go back about 6 inches or so, and then they'll get epoxy to the plate, and then of course they'll get glued to the foam. That wall goes across the top. So trying to tie as much of the new structure into this structure and the foam as possible. That way we don't end up with a weak spot here. The downside to doing, well, it's not really a downside, it's just one of the pitfalls. One of the pitfalls of moving the nose gear forward is being moved forward about 14 inches. The downside to this is it now has to go higher into the wall. So excuse me. Yes. So it now has to go higher up in order to stay inside the belly because of the curvature of the nose at that far forward compared to the original one, which means a little bit of the retract will stick out here through this top four, which we'll cut that out later. The other issue is now that you have to move the retract up, the strut becomes too short by about the same amount. So once this is all put together and it's sitting on the gear, it's actually going to sit nose down if I don't do anything different. So the original nose gear strut is going to have to be lengthened, which if I were to keep it fairly simple and just keep the straight strut that it currently is, like this, see, it's just telescoping tubes straight. If I were to leave it like that, it would be quick and easy. You just cut another tube here, drill some holes, like you could literally do it in a couple of hours. But I'm never one to make things easy. I always like to make things harder on myself, so I might end up doing a scale looking strut for it. So that's where we're headed at now. Now it's time to get back to work. Alright folks, I think y'all have had enough of that. We'll get this thing fitting a little bit better, then we make some progress. We'll start the video back up, so y'all have a good one.